Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of April 28th, taking us into May of 2025. And I am really excited. It's my birthday this week. So happy birthday to all the Taurus people having your birthday this week as well. I mean, it's Taurus season in general, but happy birthday. Now listen, friends, this week, lots of good energy to work with, Not only do we have Uranus coming into a sextile with nodal energy, which is going to be an absolute brilliant piece of the story. We've got a last quarter moon, we've got Venus moving into Aries, and we've also got Pluto getting ready for its retrograde. So lots going on this week. Before we jump in, please make sure that you have your own natal chart, because the best astrology is your astrology. This is a general reading, and I want you to be able to take what I'm saying and go grab your chart and look around and say, this is where it's happening for me, and really get a little bit deeper in what the astrology has to offer to you. And of course, if you are ready for what some of this brilliant Venus in Aries is going to be bringing back to the surface for us, the Venus Reset program is still available for you. Find out more about my beautiful healing program in the description box down below, where you can also find the timestamps for every single day this week. Okay, let's jump in and see what the week has to offer. Now, first and foremost, here on Monday, we're coming in just after this new moon that we had in Taurus, really creating a space where the question was containment. You know, can I receive? I called in things in Aries season, but now can I receive them, and can I hold them? Can I keep them? Big questions about softness, life with a lot more ease. What do we really value? There were a lot of questions like that this particular lunation brought to the surface. Now, as we're traveling on Monday here, we're still under this lunation of the moon energy being in Taurus. So as we're coming in on Monday, the moon day, we're coming in with a vibration that wants a little bit more creature comfort. We're coming in the beginning of this week saying, that's stressing me out. I'm in the business of stress reduction, because remember, Taurus is ruled by Venus, and Venus is about stress reduction. It's pleasure, it's play, it's ease. It's the simplicity here on Monday of moving without rushing, being in your own routine. You know, what do you value? What makes you feel beautiful in the day? That's the energy that we're coming into the week with. And one of the things I was thinking about as I was recording this is I went down to the, I live above a convenience store. I live above a convenience store in our building, and I absolutely love it because last night I don't know, it just hit me, it came over me, and I had to go down and get a pack of ramen, like, you know what I'm talking about, like sodium in it ramen. And I was eating it, and it was this thing where, first of all, I enjoyed the entire process of making that ramen, you know, like putting it in the water, putting the little packet in. Everybody does it their own way, with or without an egg. But the thing that it's like, it took time to build it and to get it and to have it, and then all the flavors came together. One of the things I was thinking about in this very Taurian comfort food kind of energy is how in college, I used to eat so much ramen. You know what I mean? Because that's what I could afford. That's where I was at that particular time in my life. And it was delicious. It was absolutely delicious then. And so here I am, fast forward, 20 some odd years later, in a different scenario, in a different circumstance. And I needed to go down to the convenience store and get a pack of ramen. And it was like the most delicious thing. It was the most comforting thing. I felt like it softened my edges. I got to just have this delicious experience. So on Monday, I just invite you to that experience of mine to see, what kind of softens your edges, brings some stress reduction, maybe even takes you back, where maybe at one point in your life, something that was, what you would consider more of a meal that you had to have because of circumstance is now something that you want to have because you just genuinely enjoy it, and it makes you feel all that delicious warmness. All right. Now, as we get to the end of the day, we're going to see that the last aspect that the moon is going to make before it heads void, of course, is going to be the moon in a sextile to Venus. Okay. Now, as the moon is making this last aspect, it's a sextile, it's easy, we use it, we're making an intelligent decision with it, and this is really about our values. we're going to take this into our void of course time. So you're here and you're thinking about, okay, what's gotten maybe distorted in my values or emotionally, and now I can take some real life action on it to be like, let me just bring that a little bit more in balance. Maybe you want to do some grounding, taking care of practical needs. Maybe you're actually getting on the floor and doing that yoga or those stretches, just helping you feel more connected to that spiritual balance of value of who you are, what you are, and how you're moving throughout the rest of the day. Now, this is going to be much later in the evening, so we're going to see that void of course energy kick in at 10:17 p.m., and that is Colorado time. And just after that, we are going to see that as we're rolling to the end of the day, the very last moments of the day on Monday into Tuesday, we see that the moon is shifting now into the vibration of Gemini. So we've gone from fixed earth, more grounded, slow, steady, building in this comfortable energy, and we get up Tuesday morning and we're ready to go. The tempo changes quite dramatically when the moon moves into Gemini, right? My internal voice, my emotional voice kind of clicks on, and it's curious and it wants to talk and it wants to share information. And the moon also governs the people. So as we step into Tuesday, it's not just you or I who are experiencing the moon's influence in Gemini. It's the people around us. The world around us comes under a Gemini vibration. So as we're traveling here on Tuesday, and this is going to be with us the entire day, first of all, expect the pace of life or the pace of your inner world, if nothing else, to feel like it's definitely picked up. It's a great day, though, for having conversations and sharing information that allows you to make contacts and connections with other people. You find yourself brainstorming a new idea, but you're not really meaning to brainstorm it. You were just kind of talking to somebody about something, and then the brainstorm is going and you're getting an idea about how to do something. Or maybe you reach out to a friend or an old friend, or someone reaches out to you. You're like, I want to explore a new video, a new niche, a new book, a new podcast. Like, learning can become a really big thing on Tuesday. So, the one thing I would say is, even though it is the moon in Gemini on Tuesday, Gemini energy, just by its nature, can be scattered. So if you kind of feel like you're hunting or whack-a-mole, you're playing whack-a-mole with your emotions here on Tuesday, it's like, oop, another emotion's popped up, trying to whack it down. Try to come into a space where you're like, let me move my body. Let me get some ideas on paper so that they're not just staying in my head, or my emotions are not just bottled up in my body and I'm feeling a bit stressed out. Have a good conversation, have a good journal, have a good move about so you can get that energy moving. Okay, on Wednesday the 30th, big day, we've got Venus moving back into the vibration of Aries, and we have been doing the Venus and Aries, Venus and Pisces dance for months now. And we're really truly not all the way finished. We need Venus to get all the way out of Aries so that we can know that we're solidly moving forward. And this really happens at the end of May, June energy. Okay, now first and foremost, as Venus is coming back into the vibration of Aries, I want us to really think about where we have been. Because we went through the journey of Venus in Pisces, those spiritual waters where there's so much wisdom. But we really had to move to a position with Venus and Pisces of forgiving ourselves for where we've betrayed ourselves, for not living with our values, the values that we have, the values that were innate and soft and creative to us, and we have lived essentially against them. And so now we're here, we've been traveling with that, with this expression of that, and the spiritual healing and the forgiveness and the compassion for ourselves and others that comes with that. And a piece of the Venusian energy, again, is stress reduction. So we're forgiving ourselves as well for where we've just actually done our own part for making our lives harder than they need to be, right? And so it's been a really, really big energy to come to a fullness of forgiveness and understanding and play and calling creativity back into our lives. So now as Venus pops back into Aries, I think it's a really powerful moment, because now we're done with the forward-backward dance. Now we're going to move it forward. Venus sparks the fire that allows us to go out and live in the new vibration of the forgiveness that we have given to ourselves and others. Now we're asked to call in so that we can pursue the things that we are passionate about. Whatever house this is happening in your particular chart, maybe it's something around your finances, maybe it's something around a creative project, something around your work. You're being called to be a bit more independent and call that to you, but be very clear. Venus in Aries holds a great responsibility for being so clear on your values and what you want that you're only calling to you that which you are really willing to ignite and let passion flow through. Okay, now remember, we got clear in those waters of Pisces, a lot of wisdom being asked the question, is this really what your soul wants? Is this really what your soul wants? Is this really what your soul values? Does this bring you peace and ease and it's valuable to you? I think that in Pisces, we also ask the question, this is a big one, thinking about Venus going to Aries. Are you leading yourself with your own values? Or is this a betrayal? You're leading your life with someone else's values. And so you're calling into these things into our lives that we don't really want, kind of creating a gilded cage for ourselves a little bit. I don't really want that. And now that Venus is back into this Aries energy, it's like, what am I willing to fight for now that I'm clear? I have the wisdom from Pisces. I have the clarity. I have the fire from Aries. What do I want? Where am I bold enough to go on the adventure of being more Venusian in this area and letting things come to me, not having to hustle hard, going to soft, going to easy? What if I was kind and nice to my partner? What if I wasn't competing for absolutely everything? What if I was soft? What is true to me? Because I do not want to chase it. I only want to attract it. And we're going to work with this vibration all the way until June 6th. So it's a massive and important day, I think, to be taking a review of where you've been in your own journey and where you're landing in the soft. And I know I am always talking about the Venus Reset program now, but I built it not really fully understanding how much we were going to need it right now. And today I 1000% understand what I built, why it works, how it helps you. You guys are telling me consistently week by week what you're learning in there and how you're coming back to some soft, and that it's really hard. This is not something that you're coming to necessarily easily, being soft or having a relationship with rest. Many of you are expressing a real challenge with that. And this is what this is built to do, to help you initiate an energy and a softness and an ease in your life that you really want without waiting for permission, but realizing there might be a little bit in the way. All right, so that is going to take us, that is Tuesday. There's Wednesday, excuse me. So we're going to get to the end of the day on Wednesday, and we'll see that the moon comes into a square with Saturn now before it's going to go into its void of course time. So as we see the moon in this void of course position, we've got a mutable square. So it's a square that can create worry. We're going into this and we can potentially be worrying about something as we're going in here, worrying about structure, worrying about, feeling the weight or feeling the pressure or the depth of our emotions, where it's like, I have to do something to create structure around this. I have to do something to make changes and take responsibility for my emotional life, right? No pushing blame out, Saturn and Pisces. Where am I playing a part in my own being? So that's an energy that we're going to take into our void of course time. This void of course time is going to start at 8:44 p.m. again, Mountain Time, and it's going to take us all the way until 12:22 a.m. just the next day here on the 1st. So be paying attention to that, especially if you're one of our late night workers that's up and this is your terrain, you're up in that particular time. Wrangle in those emotions, take a look at what you can do with them to be very accountable, create a lot of discipline with it. And it's a great way to work with that. But then in the rest of the void of course time, you might be having this acknowledgement, but you're not like building something forward. It's a time for acknowledgement, but it's also a time for a bit of rest, right? Let it rest. Let it rest. There is a cost for all of us. And I think we're really stepping into acknowledging it, that if we're going to live differently, if we're going to have more ease, if we're going to have less stress, there's a cost for boldness. there's a cost for boldness, and you're absolutely worth it, and you deserve it, and you're enough. So I hope you have the courage to move forward and go after it. Okay, that is going to bring us over here into May 1st, and we're going to see that the moon is going to move into the vibration of Cancer here. So as we move into Cancer, we're naturally kind of, first of all, more comfortable because the moon finds itself in domicile. So we're naturally just more comfortable under this vibration, but we're also going a bit more inward. We can be looking at memories, home, family, things about our mothers, our past, our history, our security. These can be things that are on the emotional mind, if you call it that. So if you find yourself here on Thursday, you're craving, like, you know, if you're craving a connection with your family, if you're craving that conversation with your mother, you know, still sometimes I'm almost 43 years old this week, and sometimes there's nothing wrong. I just want to talk to my mom. I just want to talk to my mom. And I have daughters, and sometimes they just want to talk to their mom. You know, and this is a place where I think we can honor that. There's so much softness and honesty available in our week that I hope you take a chance to do that. You know, things around your childhood home, your childhood, cooking those foods that remind you of childhood or remind you of memories that have just made you feel really full and really content. It is a time, I will tell you, while the moon is comfortable here, over the next couple days, what I would love for you to just be mindful of is the passive aggressiveness that can come, because if something's coming up emotionally, Cancerian energy doesn't go direct at whatever's going on. It tends to zigzag. You know, crabs walk like this, most of them. There's a rare crab that walks straight, and I'm sure someone's going to point that out. But for the most part, the point is that we're going at things in a more indirect way. Now, we've also got another aspect on the table here. We have got Uranus in a sextile to the North Node. Love this. This is opening up an opportunity for change, the opportunity to live the change that you're saying that you want in your life, right? That North Node is pulling us forward. It's pulling us forward to the destiny of where we're going to be going next. So we're all collectively under that particular vibration. But as this sextile happens, it's not only a pocket of ease, but we're intelligently taking action on the pocket of ease that has been handed to us. And it also tells us that to the other side of this, Uranus is in a trine to that South Node in Virgo. So it's kind of this story where it's like you understand why it is, like you're awakened, Uranus, to why we can't continue the delusion that we're in control of everything, right? That's that South Node. That's that South Node that wants to just have a plan. I'm going to just make a plan. I'm going to do everything. And if I just do better or I just do well enough, then it's all going to work out. Like there has to be some trust and surrender to the universe. There is a place of sacrifice and surrender for us to have what we absolutely really want. But this is an opportunity aspect. That's the thing I want to just kind of drive home. But you have to choose it. You have to choose what kind of intelligent action you're going to take to move you forward. Now, Uranus is in Taurus. We've had a lot of Taurus, a lot of Venusian energy up on our table this week. So it's about your values. What do you value? How do you value yourself? How do you value, what's your relationship with your resources, with the earth itself, with money, with your relationships, with things that are very much so in our everyday living space? What's your relationship with it? Are you relationship literate, right? Do you have some relationship literacy, financial literacy, earth literacy, resource literacy, right? So that you have enough information to know what you really value. Are you trying to change that area of your life? Because that North Node is pulling us towards, I have to surrender. I have to surrender. I have to surrender. I have to trust the soft. I have to trust my intuition. I have to choose compassion. I have to choose spiritual integration at this point. And I have to dissolve my ego in order to get to it. I can't keep going with the same brain that has created where I'm having challenges in my life. I can't use that to create a new way out. I almost need a new brain. So new information, new people, places, and things can show up. I tend to think and I tend to teach that when the North Node gets involved in something that we're doing, people show up. a destiny person, place, or thing shows up and pops us some information and we go, oh, I could do this. It's not that it's loud. I mean, Uranus is involved here, so we could be awakened to a new reality, that's for sure. But more so, they might show up and ask you the question, present you with information, which makes you ask yourself the question, am I really willing and ready to make liberating changes that align with not only my highest self, but the values of that highest self, even if it's by baby steps, right? It's a great day to see that particular energy working itself out. Okay, as we get over here to the second, we're going to see that Venus now comes back in Aries into this conjunction with Neptune, who's over in Aries as well. And I love these two. They're the Bopsy twins. I call them the Bopsy twins because when they get together, it can just be so good. It can just be so good. I mean, like we can fall deeply in love with something, or we find we deeply value something when these two get together, but you do have to watch it. You do have to watch it because it's still Neptune. This can be illusionary, right? I really think I'm in love with this person, or there's a fantasy that's taking place over then a proper visioning plus reality. So we do have to be careful with this on Friday, and it's already a Venus day as well. So it is doing the most for the good energy here on Friday. But as these two come together, take it as an opportunity with this particular aspect, especially here in Aries, to be clear again about what you want. Create that art. Is that what you want to do today? It's very Aries energy. What are you going directly at? What are you pointing your energy directly at? You're creating that art. You're doing that poetry. You're doing the Venus Reset program. What are you doing? Because first of all, with Aries energy, the tactic is I have to have a goal. I have to make a plan to get to that goal. And then I have to get off my hiney and I have to do it. That is Aries energy to the fullest. And in this particular arrangement, it's softer. There's a more romantic expression to this. It's more inspiring. You can be inspiring. You can be inspired. It's spiritual. Often when I create content or when I'm giving a talk someplace or I'm sitting with a client, I actually don't do that from a place of work. I do that from a place of having a spiritual experience with whatever is coming into my space for me to have the privilege to work on. This is that kind of energy that you can work with. Now, I will say, I think that Friday is not a good day, depending on your chart, of course, but I think it is not a good day to make any kind of big financial commitment, any kind of impulsive romantic decision that would drastically change the rest of your life. The energy is just, you're like over giving, or you're not exactly grounded in full clarity of this major decision. Minor ones, go get them. I think you have full abundance to be able to do that. Okay, rolling into Saturday, we're going to get Saturday morning about 1 o'clock in the morning, and we'll see that the moon is going to go into a trine with Saturn before it heads into void, of course, until 4:30 a.m. So as the moon comes into a trine with Saturn, we're grounded. It's almost like the head and the discipline of the head and the spirit, or the heart and the spirit, kind of come into alignment at this time, and they have easy access to one another. Where information or emotions may be felt distorted before, or if you've had a little resentment that was sticking to you, as you come into this void, of course, time, it's easier spiritually to work it out, to release it, to scrub out that little stain on your carpet and release it so that you can move forward more emotionally mature and more free. After that, we see the moon pop into Leo over here, and it is like, I am ready to be seen and heard. I am ready to be seen and heard. Leo is an inspiring, big, bold, heart on the chest, heart, say it with your chest out, heart kind of energy. So create something beautiful. Be a little bit more seen. If there are emotions that you needed to talk about, if there are decisions that you needed to make on this particular day, I think you're in a better situation to be able to do it. The one thing to also be mindful of is, again, everyone is under the Leo energy. So what can happen sometimes is, we're a little bit too big for our britches. It's not that we're trying to be bad. We're just humans. We have egos. That's what happens. And someone comes along and they pop your ego. They are like, What are you talking about? Right? Because it's like the day we all become Leos for a minute. Okay, it's for 2 days, we're all Leos and we are gonna pop each other's little bubbles. So the other thing I think about it, especially in the context of there's so much changing in the world and we have so much more access to social media and these kinds of things, an addiction to drama can be something that this particular lunation over the next couple of days is bringing your attention to. So if you're addicted to the drama, or you're putting up things, or you're posting things, or you're saying things and you're trying to do it to get some kind of approval, or you're trying to just kick up a little conversation in order to get attention in some way, this is an energy that's not particularly useful. It's better for being a leader, performing, creating something, having those self-affirming rituals. When's the last time you really sat with yourself and took time to be like, I am really good at this thing. I do really love this about myself. I'm all about opening these hips these days. When's the last time you put your hands on your hips, felt them if they're squishy or not? Mine are. And been like, I like these. These is mine. Like, when is the last time you had a little bit of that? Use the Leo moon to absolutely get into all those nooks and take care of yourself crannies. Okay. And as we're going to wrap up the week on the 4th, it's birthday time. I'm very excited. I love birthdays. I'm an astrologer. I have to tell you what, if you never have anybody in your life who celebrates birthdays, get an astrologer. Get an astrologer. We will celebrate your birthday and like every other date that you have going on in your life. Okay. As we come to Sunday, first and foremost, we're going to come under the energy of the first quarter moon at 14 degrees of Leo. So grab your charts, grab your Google calendars, because this is where we're going back. At this first quarter moon, we know that in August 4th of 2024, there was a new moon. It was happening at 12 degrees of Leo. So look at where this was at on your chart, because you were planting your seeds of intention to begin something here. You were in the beginning phases. And now at the first quarter time, now you're going to build it. Some things might have come in, new opportunities, new ideas, new inspiration, new whatever. Now this is where you're officially in the building and ramping up. And remember, as we get to first quarter time, every time we get to first quarter energy, people, places, things, opportunities, ideas that are not really in alignment with the vibration of what you were asking for at that new moon, the universe is going to weed your garden and take those things out. Let the universe do the heavy lifting. You asked from the best version of yourself for your next experience. So now do some of that North Node and Pisces. Trust that if the universe is taking it out, it's because it's perfectly on time and your job is to build. I would really love for you to grab pen and paper. And emotionally, and in this house, in this area of your chart, write it down. What do you want to build? What do you want to experience? What are you calling in under this Leo energy? Where do you want to lead in your own life and in your own energy in a way that's fun, it's joyful, it's playful, right? Where is that for you? Now, as we get down the road and we're going to get to February 1st, I don't know why I'm doing this, February 1st of 2026, we're going to have a full moon at 13 degrees of Leo. So this is where we're going to pivot. We're going to celebrate whatever you've built since August of 2024. And then we're going to pivot and commit to where you're still willing to go and let go of the things that you're like, I did it, I built it, it's over. And when we get to November 1st of 2026, this is where we're going to come to the last quarter energy and we will bring this particular cycle to a close. So make note so you can track this and see what it's all about for you. Now, just behind that, we are going to see that Pluto comes into its retrograde, and it's going to come into its retrograde at 3 degrees of Aquarius. So first of all, I want to just hand you a picture for us to conceptualize this together. Really, since the beginning of the year, we've mostly been in a lot of retrograde energy, not a huge amount of popping forward. Our outer planets, what I call the professors, they've moved forward into some different signs. So they started to set the syllabus, the agenda of where we're going to go long term, right? But the personal planets have all been in retrograde. So it gets this energy like, I just can't quite move forward. I got an idea, but I can't quite get it to launch forward, even if the structure is here. Okay, That's okay. That's normal. There's not been any real super massive available forward motion, and there won't be until we get to June, July, but it doesn't mean keep suffering. Okay. It's not like just stand there and suffer. But I do want to point out that now we're going to also have Pluto coming into retrograde. And as we continue to go on, these other outer planets are going to come retrograde as well. So we are back kind of in a review, but this is a review of the big plan, the big theme, all of the big Aquarian themes. Okay, let's just take it piece by piece. Technology. We're going to review it. We're going into a review of that because now you've seen what you need technologically to start to exist in the new world that Pluto has set up, right? So you're getting a break to go back over that in retrograde and go, okay, do I have a VPN? Do I understand AI? Do I understand these things? Is my business online, right? You're getting to ask those questions. And now in the retrograde, that's going to span all the way until October, you get to get that together because if you don't have this area, the Aquarian themes together, as Pluto comes back out of that retrograde, it's going to be a rough go. It's going to be a rough go. Okay. Now, other things, where are we? Am I aligned with the right groupings of people? Am I in the right tribe? Right. And one of those tribes should be people who support your soft, who support your ease, who support you not living in a way that is so stressed out you can't see straight. We're going to see it at collective level of obviously, right? Pluto's an outer planet. So we've got a lot resetting in the global collective and global allies. So even in that, we're going, am I surrounded with my right tribe, my right kind of people? Medicine, people moving out of countries. This is everything having to do with the Aquarian themes. As Pluto goes retrograde, again, now this is the space where you're great for getting more insight about the research that you've needed to do, right? Because at first you were like shocked. You're like, oh my God, I have to really learn to use this app. And that might have been annoying, but it's true. And now as Pluto goes retrograde, you get some more insight on not only do you have to do it, but how you're going to be able to do it, right? So it's going to be a really interesting time to see what you're relearning. Go back to where this is at in this particular area in your chart. You know, let's say, for example, this was happening. Pluto was in your 6th house as it came into Aquarius, and now it's going to back up from those 3 degrees. If it was in your 6th house and you had a health thing, likely the health thing presented itself. And now as Pluto goes retrograde, you're going to start finding some new resources and doing some new research on how to deal with that thing, or what is the truth of the diagnosis that came up at that particular time, so that you make sure you're not just treating symptoms, you're treating something that is perfectly aligned and going to make it so that you can move forward a lot more healthy. So lots to think about as we're looking at that Pluto retrograde. I really encourage you to grab your charts. I encourage you to grab your charts always because your astrology is the best astrology, but there are a lot of patterns. There's a lot of systems going on right now that you can go back in your life and track your own living and see exactly where you are at in your story. And that is such a beautiful way to be not only astrologically fluent, but be your own astrologer as well before you come out here and hire one of us. Not that we don't want to see you, we do, but I want you to have the tools and the skills to just be out here living your best astrological life. All right, my beautiful friends, a couple of videos are going to pop up at the end here. If you need help finding this transit in your chart, you're going to want to watch one of them. And if you've not listened to your May horoscope, check out that other one, okay? All right, loves, I'll see you next week. Bye.